Hi, this webinar will focus on the OFBI FY21 peer review, and it'll be an orientation of the entire process. For those that have been peer reviewers for us in the past, this is a little bit redundant, but this is really for the new peer reviewers that have never reviewed for the Office of Faith-Based Initiatives. There's some information in here for the veterans, I should call them, especially NJ START information. So in order to review, you have to gain access to our online application system that's called SAGE. It stands for System for Administering Grants Electronically. You can access it through Windows or Macintosh. You need access to the internet. Your web browser can be either Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, and Edge. Do not use Google Chrome. Google Chrome is not compatible to the SAGE system. So whatever you do, if you use Google Chrome and you input the information and you see that you input the information and you save it and it looks like it's saved on your end, when it's time to review the application, you'll see nothing in your documents. So do not use Google Chrome. Make sure that you have Adobe Acrobat Reader, because you'll need Adobe Acrobat Reader to save the applications as a PDF, and I'll show you how to do that. If you are new to SAGE, we will be registering you onto SAGE, right? So we will be going on. I don't want you to register. Don't want anybody to register. I'm just giving you some information. The website for SAGE is www.sage.nj.gov. Your username will be the first initial of your first name and your entire last name. So my name is Edward Laporte. So my username in lowercase is ELAPORTE, and your password will be OFBI123. That's what will be your start off password. You can always change it. So our grants guidelines were released on January 2nd, 2020. We had a number of live Zoom webinars that were also streamed live on Facebook and uploaded onto our OFBI website in the month of January. We also marketed the application through our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And we also utilize our constant contact email distribution platform to get the word out. Applications were originally due on April 30th and were revised to 4/30 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. What are your commitments as a peer reviewer? Peer reviewers must be available to complete, read, and rate applications and submit initial scores in SAGE as identified in the schedule below. May 15th, all peer reviewers will have access to their applications, assigned applications. May 22nd, initial scores must be submitted. May 23rd, between May 23rd and May 31st, your peer review panel will schedule self-deliberations via Zoom. Now, a panel is comprised of 3 peer reviewers. So you will be matched up with 3 peer reviewers. What I'm gonna try to do is I am not going to have a panel of rookie peer reviewers, meaning you've never read for us before. You may have read for other folks, but you've never read for us. So I'm gonna make sure that there is someone in the panel, if it's all new folks, that someone in your panel is identified that has read for the Office of Faith-Based Initiative in the past. Final scores and comments must be entered during the scheduled deliberation process. This is for the folks that are going to be reviewing the seed. The June 12th is the seed pitch. It'll be virtual. June 13th, seed final scores and comments must be entered. The role of the reviewers. Reviewers will review each application thoroughly, consistently, and objectively, measuring the proposed project against the stated criteria for the funding program. And we'll have a conversation about what that looks like. Reviewers in general do not recommend specific funding amounts. However, review panels do generally make recommendations regarding funding cutoffs and final scores and comments. We ask that you review the grant guidelines and applications so that you are thoroughly familiar with the program prior to beginning the evaluation. Those grant guidelines will be emailed to you in the next week or two. To gain access to our website, you may want to copy this URL, or you can just simply Google the New Jersey Office of Faith-Based Initiatives. It'll bring you to our homepage. You scroll down to Spotlight, click Grant Opportunities, and then you'll see all the documents, all the grant guidelines that are available. You will be assigned to a particular grant guideline and a category, so you'll get that independently. All peer reviewers must read and sign the conflict of interest statement, the agreement and specification, and peer review orientation documents. Those documents will be emailed to you, and those documents will need to be returned to us no later than May 22nd. You'll get an email on that. You must also evaluate all applications, assign and submit initial and final scores based on the timelines given. You must attend and actively participate in the assigned and review team meeting for your application category. Listen, this is important. If on the day of deliberation, a peer reviewer has not completed his or her reviews, meaning if on May 22nd, you didn't submit your initial scores, you will be removed from the team, the contract voided, and an alternate peer reviewer identified. Okay? The evaluation process begins when you start your review of the application assigned. The evaluation requires that you provide detailed commentary on each of the criteria and then determine a preliminary score for the application. The comments are really important because if an organization isn't funded, and they call us and find out why they didn't get funded, what we do is we email them the collective strengths and weaknesses of the panel's comments. So you really need to be detailed and indicate, why you scored this. If the score was, the max is a 5 and you scored it a 1, you need to say why you scored it a 1 as opposed to a 5. Not applicable in any section will not be accepted. Any additional information will be provided via email in relation to dates, procedures, etc. Stipends. Here we go. So for the new folks, the folks that have never registered, never read for the New Jersey Office of Faith-Based Initiatives, you must be registered in NJ START. Now, if you've done business with the state of New Jersey, and you should be registered into NJ START. If you read for us in the past, you're registered in the NJ START. If your banking information, for those that have read for us in the past, has changed, you need to go on to the NJ START website, www.njstart.gov, and update your banking information. To register, for the folks that are first-time reviewers for the office, you must register as a vendor. You must input your tax ID, social security number, the company name, your name, and enter your email address. You also want to make sure that you check off ACH. ACH is the direct deposit process of receiving payment. If you don't check off ACH in your registration process, you'll get a paper check. And so a paper check can take a while. I'm not lying to you. It could take a minute for you to get there. An ACH direct deposit is transferred within 24 to 48 hours after I execute the payment voucher. Again, contracts must be signed and received no later than May 23rd, 2020. Payments will be processed after the deliberation process is complete. Will not be received if you have not registered in NJ START, or FBI has not received your signed contract, you have not completed the evaluation and deliberation process. So those are the 3 main reasons why you won't get paid. So these are our 2021 OFBI grant guidelines. So for all our applications, houses of worship, churches, mosques, temples, synagogues are not eligible to apply. Public, private, or charter schools are not eligible to apply. Colleges and universities are not eligible to apply. But they are eligible to collaborate, to be a collaborating partner, but cannot receive state funds that are granted to the lead organization. So these are our grant opportunities. So the first application is called Social Innovation. Under Social Innovation, there's College Readiness Program, the Youth Entrepreneurship Program, and the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Program. The next, and I'm not going to get into detail because the assumption is that you're going to read what each if you're assigned college readiness, you're going to read the program description for college readiness. And I plan to have one-on-one panel Zoom meetings to go into depth about your panel and what you're going to be reading. Special projects. Under special project is civic and community engagement, tutoring and homework assistance, services to seniors, summer camp. And then there's Project Atlas, that stands for Applied Training Lasting Solutions. And then there's a SEED project. SEED stands for Social Enterprise Entrepreneurship Development. It's a venture development project that asks nonprofits to create revenue generating models to address a particular social issue. Now, let me say this. The application was released January 2nd, way before the pandemic hit. Right? And as you're reading this, I couldn't make any changes to the grant categories because the grants were already out. And I didn't know how long we would be in the situation that we're in. But now that we're in it solidly, some of these folks in their applications should have indicated that they're moving into a virtual space. They should indicate that, or you should indicate that they in your review that it's a good design, but they need to go virtual. We will have those one-on-one conversations with them if they're awarded a grant. The other thing is that the summer camp program under special projects, right here, special projects, summer camp, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to have a summer camp this year. So I'm hoping that they were able to think creatively about what a summer camp program might look like in the virtual world, because I am not sure if organizations are going to be able to have large congregations of kids in one location. So we need to be really creative in our reading of the application and write notes to guide us, the office, to say, hey, this is a really good design for summer camp, but we're not sure if they're going to have a summer camp program. You know, they may be able to pivot to a virtual platform and do something in the fall. That's the kind of guidance that we're going to need from you. Tutoring and homework assistance is going to be done in the fall. Civic and community engagement is also going to be done in the fall. And services to seniors. Now, a lot of this stuff, again, remember, it may not lend itself to actual having folks come to the organization. We may still have to deal with social distancing. And so we need to be open-minded and willing to infer some stuff. And I'll have those one-on-one conversations with you. Same thing with the SEED programs, right? There's just no way that an organization from July, let's say from July 1 to the first 2 quarters, July, August, September, October, November, December, with the uncertainty that there is now, that they're indicating in their application that they're going to actually be able to launch or prototype or grow their venture. They might be able to grow their venture if they're applying for growth startup, for growth capital, but it's probably going to have to be in the virtual space. And so we have to be really open and as we read the SEED applications to look at, you know, what the design is and does it lend itself to the virtual space, because we don't know what the first 2 quarters of 2021, the fiscal year, July 1 to December 31st, what that's going to look like for entrepreneurs and businesses alike. So, you know, I'm going to need your help, SEED reviewers, to guide me and guide us in terms of applying for that. All right. The logic model. So every application needs to submit a logic model at our website. When you log on, when you go to our website and you Google the New Jersey Office of Faith-Based Initiatives and you scroll down to spotlights and you hit grant categories, on the right-hand side, you'll see a navigation bar. And one of the buttons there is called, it says webinars. You click the webinar button and it'll show you all these webinars that we've posted on our website that help guide the applicant through the entire process. Well, on the bottom, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there is a webinar that focuses on the fundamentals of logic modeling, and it really breaks down this simple logic model tool that all the organizations need to submit that should align itself with the narrative and the budget, right? So yeah, I need you to watch that webinar because I'm not gonna go over it here. And then if you have any questions, then we can have one-on-ones and I can clarify stuff for you. Accessing and rating the application. So remember that whenever you go into the rating sheet, you must always hit save, the save button. Sage doesn't have an automatic save feature. So you always, whatever changes you make, just hit save no matter what. Before you leave the page, hit save. Do not use the browser buttons. Use the back button in Sage, and I'll show you what that is. Again, do not use Google Chrome. Do not click on the back button on your browser. It will create multiple versions of your score sheet. And I'll show you what that means. Do not forget to make detailed comments. They are integral and crucial to the application process, both for those that were awarded and for those that were denied. Do not forget your initial scores and submissions and deliberations date, and do not assume. Scores are based on the integrity of the application, but again, because we are dealing with these uncertain times, I need you to be a little more, I need you to be a freer thinker as you're reading these applications. And can they, what they're trying to do, can they pivot to a different approach to provide a particular service because their capacity allows it. If you have any questions, well, hopefully we'll be in the office by June. So, but between now, April 21st, and when this is done for you guys, we still may be remote. So there's no sense of calling this number, 609-292-9808. You can email me. I'm Eddie Laporte. I'm the Executive Director of the Office of Faith-Based Initiatives. That's my email there. Justin Higgs and Louisa Soda and Shona Walden are all program officers for the New Jersey Office of Faith-Based Initiative. Those are their emails there. And so now we're going to go live. Remember, our SAGE website is www.sage.nj.gov. And let me see how this looks. All right. All right, so we've registered you into Sage. We've given you your username. You have for the new folks on the block. Your password, your initial password will be OFBI123 lowercase. Your username is the first letter of your first name and then your entire last name. That's one large word. If you forget, for the veterans of the crew, if you forget if you forgot your username or password, you have to click the forgot username and password. And then you're going to be prompted to insert, put in an email address, and then they're going to email you this very long randomized password. You cannot copy and paste that password into here. You're going to have to manually insert each character because Sage won't recognize a copy and paste of the password. It just won't. So when you get that long randomized email password and you insert it each randomly in here on the password, you click login, then you'll be able to get in, and then it'll prompt you to update your password. So right now, this is our test site. And this is our demo site. This is where we test applications and reports, and this is where this is the site that we use to do webinars. So I'll be Justin Higgs, and I am a peer reviewer, fictitious peer reviewer. He's actually a program officer for us, and Justin logs in. Now, when Justin logs in, all he's gonna see in the My Task bar is the applications as he's been assigned to. So he's been assigned a category under OFBI Social Innovation 2021. So when you come in and you see this, you click on the drop-down box and then all these applications. Now you're gonna get more than 3 applications, and they'll all be listed. You'll also receive an email, a document from us via email identifying, let's say you're part of panel 3. So panel 3 or panel 1 or panel 2 will be reading the same applications. Now, let me take that back. So panel 1, let's say you're assigned to college readiness. So everybody on panel 1 will read all the college readiness applications. Everybody on panel 2 may be assigned services to seniors. So everybody on panel 2 will read services to seniors. So you're gonna get a panel, and each panel reads the same applications, so that each application is read by 3 different people on that particular panel. So once you come here and you hit the drop-down box, you click, and the status will be at home review. This means that you have access to the application. So you come over here where it says name, and you click on the grant number, OFBI 21. So OFBI, Office of Faith-Based Initiative 21, FY21. Our fiscal year starts July 1, not January 1. So it's July 1. And our funding is from July 1, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. So it's OFBI 21, SI stands for Social Innovation 007. So you click on that, and you'll see that you've been assigned the STEM grants, okay? And you would have known that way before you got into Sage, because we would have sent you a document saying, okay, panel 1, you've been assigned the STEM grants. Here are the 15 applications you have to read, and they're all under STEM. So once you get into the application, let me show you how you can save the application as a PDF, because you're gonna have to read the application to get a sense of what's going on. So you go to Management Tool, and you go to Create Full Print Version. You click on that, and then it'll say open, and then you'll say yes, and then it'll say save, and then you say yes, and it'll save it as a PDF onto your desktop, which you should have created a folder saying OFBI FY21 STEM applications. So after you get a sense of what the application is and what you're reading, then you hover over forms, and each section of the electronic section of the applications are found here, right? So profile information, so you'll be rating project summary, organizational capacity, statement of needs, statement of collaboration, project description. You'll be looking at the budget, the consultant forms, other course categories. Now, let me say this. These organizations can use up to 65% of the grant awards towards personnel. Okay? They can use up to that. They also have an option that they can budget under other course categories, a administrative line item of 10% of the overall award. Now, the administrative line item is for expenses not yet realized by the organization as it relates to this particular funding category, which is STEM. So for your purposes, to rate the application, you need to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Now, this orange band won't be here because I was testing it. You click rating sheet. And this won't be here. And so you'll see, you got to make sure that the grant number correlates with the grant number on your list of the organizations. That's the STEM organization, and that there is no recusing. If you are recusing yourself from reviewing this application because 1, you're on the board of directors, 2, you're an active consultant for the organization, or 3, you're a current employee of the organization. Those are the 3 reasons why you would want to recuse yourself, but it's also in the conflict of interest document that you sign. So if everything is fine, the first thing you want to do is have the application available to you down here somewhere so you can read the project summary and then answer these questions. Did the applicant provide the title of the project, the amount requested, and the purpose for the funding request? The maximum point is 5 points. this first bullet is worth 2.5. This next bullet is worth 2.5, and you can score it in here any way you want. You can say 0.5, or you can say 1.5. And then you can say for the next sentence that the applicant indicate the client being served will fall under the county low income guidelines, and then you would state, the max you can give them there is 2.5. Maybe you give them a 2.0. And then here's the comment section that where we need to know, well, why didn't you give this organization a 2.5 for the first bullet? And a nice thought out 2 or 3 sentence blurb works. Did the applicant indicate the clients being served will fall under the county low income guidelines? Well, in this section, you'll say yes. The applicant indicated that the clients being served will fall under the county low income guidelines, but briefly stated it. I would wish that he or she or it, the organization, would have been a little more elaborate about who these individuals are. That's all. Then you go down to the next section, organizational capacity. It's 10 points, and then it's the same thing. Each section is broken down to equal a total of 10 points. The first bullet is 2 points. The second bullet is 4 points. The third bullet is 4 points, for a total of 10 points. And then, based on what they wrote under the organizational capacity section in their application that you have access to, or that you can scroll up to the top and actually, open it up, read it, write some notes down, come back to this page, scroll down, and then put the appropriate scoring in each box, and then the appropriate, well thought out responses to why they did or didn't, or the need for more clarity or understanding, or maybe they didn't mention it at all. And then you do this for each section for that one, but you do it for all the applications. You get to the bottom and you click save. By clicking save, Sage adds up all the scores that you inserted in the preliminary rating sheet. And it'll be added down to the bottom. It'll be added here, right? So then you're asked to enter the strengths and weaknesses of the application. This is huge. So this is where, if an organization is denied funding, that we pull the information from. So if an organization is denied funding, and you have a whole lot of strengths and minimal weaknesses, and it's not a very well-read application. Now, an organization that scores a 69 or lower is not eligible, cannot be recommended for funding. So let's say you total this up, your preliminary scores came out to 69. So in this box, is funding available? Do you recommend funding for this applicant? If they're 69 or lower, you have to go no. You have to go no. If they're 70 or higher, you can say yes, or you can say no. Okay? So then you click save, and then you go back out to the home page and do the same thing for the next application. Click it. It'll say STEM. This is just a test, but it'll say STEM. You're not going to get 2 different types of funding categories. You go to forms, you want to go to management tools, print full version, save it onto your desktop as a PDF so you can at least read it and know what you're doing. From the reading, you write notes. And then from forms, you hover over forms, scroll down the rating sheet, and you begin the process all over again. Okay? So that is the peer review orientation. So once all the scores are in, and we will be monitoring where you're at with your scores. If you have access to the application on the 15th, on the 17th, we're going to be saying, hey, you need to be done in like 5 days. We don't see any scores here. What's going on? And we're going to be following up with you to find out, why the scores aren't inputted. Once all the scores are in and the panel is done on the 22nd, then I will reach out to the panel on the 22nd and say, hey, when do you want to schedule your deliberation on Zoom? We will then schedule that deliberation. It'll be in a block of 4 hours. It could be Saturday, it can be Sunday, it can be early in the morning. It could be whenever the team wants to do it. And then the team will then start off with the first application. They'll all bring up the same application, and you'll go section by section and say, what did you score this section? And you'll all say, well, I scored it a 2, I scored it a 4, or I scored it a 5. Any section that anybody scored a 0, you must have a conversation on. Because if I scored it a 0 and Michelle scored it a 2.5 and Eric scored it a 5, there's a major disconnect somewhere. Like maybe I didn't read the application, or maybe I didn't see what the rating sheet was asking. So I scored it a 0, and I want to know why this other person scored it a 5. Maybe they just, they tuned them at 2 in the morning. Maybe they just gave it a blind 5. Who knows? But this is where the deliberation happens. This is where you say, well, I scored it at this and you scored it at that. How in the world did you score it at that if I scored it this? And then you have those conversations. Once that's done, you go back into the score sheet and finalize each person finalizes their final scores for that application, and then hit save. And then once you're done, and once everybody is done, all the panels are done, all the scores are submitted, then we will process payment. All right. So that's the peer review orientation. I really want to thank you for being part of this year's peer review funding, peer review cycle. And I hope that this is a real good experience for everybody. Thank you.